Good evening. It's Friday 10 p.m. once again here in New York City, and you're tuning into August Nights right here on FM 92.3 now. And I'm your host for this evening, August Shin. Hope you guys have been doing well. It's been a relatively grim month for the month of January here in New York City, and I must say, with the pandemic still raging across the planet, people are still left wondering, when will things ever return to the way they were? And in the spirit of wishing we were back in the good old days, I thought I'd dedicate today's show to the oldies, the retros. And when I mean oldies and retros, I mean it. Today, for our tracks, we'll be throwing it back hard. We're going to be throwing it back to the 80s and the 90s. It's more so catered to our parents for this episode, so maybe you guys can sit down together with your parents and listen together. But we'll talk more about today's song, and we'll get into today's message of the day. But first, our opening song for the evening, it comes from 최호섭, and the song's title is 세월이 가면, or As Time Goes By, and you're listening to it right now in the year 2022 on FM 92.3 now. Was that too hard of a throwback? I hope I've not just lost all of our young listeners with these ancient tunes, but tonight I felt it just right to let the older kids in our playground of life just, take a step back into the supposed good old days. Our old folks, even your older friends, they always tell you, I miss the good old days, and whether you like that comment or not, sometimes you do miss the good old days. Whether it be the good old days of yesterday, or the good old days of last month, or the good old days of last year, or even 5 years. There's nothing wrong with being nostalgic and thinking about the good old days. And With that in mind, today's message comes from Daniel Choi, a 22-year-old from San Diego, California. He says, "Hi August, your name is weird, but I like the show. I have a question for you. Would you rather be sleeping in a hammock or sleeping on a beach? Thanks." Short and sweet message. So first of all, thank you, Daniel. I appreciate the roast. My name is pretty weird. I get that quite often, so I don't blame you for that one. But with respect to your question about the hammock or the beach, this sort of would you rather is too easy for me because I am an absolute lover of the beach, and it's not because I love the blistering heat of the sun and people running around. You know, it's more so because I love the ocean. I am a massive lover of the ocean, and I just can't stay away from water. Something about the water and something about just staring out into the deep ocean blue, just something so spectacular and beautiful and mesmerizing about that. And you know, maybe I am an old fart because I used to just absolutely enjoy just the peace of the waves crashing and you know, just cracking open a beer. I don't know if that's legal or not, but cracking open a beer, and you know, I used to bring like a surf rod, a long fishing rod, and just throw it out there and just let it sit there while I just chilled with my friends. And those were the good times for me, at least. So, Daniel, I hope I answered your question. And if you're out there in San Diego, I'm sure the waters are beautiful out there. So maybe you guys can go out there and enjoy the beach. And I'm pretty sure you do anyway. But anyways, here's number 2. It's another true classic. Here is 옛 사랑, or Old Lover, by Lee Moon-se, the man with the plan, an absolute legend in the Korean music world. And honestly, this winter it needs to go. Man, we're already at the end of the show, and if you're on the younger end, I'm going to emphasize younger, like myself, and haven't been exposed to songs from the 80s and the 90s, I truly recommend you explore some of them yourself. Or maybe you can go on to your parents and strike a conversation with them. Ask them what they used to listen to when they were your age. I tried that with my parents. Unfortunately, things didn't work out because they were boring. They used the excuse of I was too busy working, which is fine. You know, back in the days, our parents used to work a lot harder, I guess. But maybe it might be a different return for you guys. So maybe you guys can go try and ask your parents and see what they used to listen to. I actually asked my aunt the same question, and this time she actually said that her first song she remembers getting into so crazily was the next song that I'm about to play for you now. So this is a bit of a shout out to my aunt. So auntie, if you're listening, this is for you. This is another classic. It was released in 1992, the year that I was born. And here is 김건모's 잠못드는밤비는내리고, or Sleepless on a Rainy Night. And with that, I wish you all a great weekend and see you next week.
우적한 마음을 달랠 수가 없네. 잠도 오지 않는 밤에 이젠 나의 희미한 기억 속에 너는 점점 더 멀어져가고 너의 슬픈 미소만이 나의 마음속에 가득 남아 흐르고 있어. 이렇게 비가 오는 밤이면 너는 나를 더욱 슬퍼지게 해. 언제나 즐겨 듣던 그 노래가 내 귓가에 아직 남아 있는데 이렇게 처량해